All right, your next witness then?
Thank you, Your Honor. Plaintiff calls Erin Felati, also known as Erin Boerum Felati, and Ms. Hurd's counsel begins the questioning.
Okay, thank you.
Provide your full name.
Erin Felati.
And is Boerum your maiden name?
Correct.
Okay. So Boerum was your last name in the 2014 to 2016 timeframe, correct?
That's correct.
Have you communicated with anybody else from Mr. Depp's counsel other than Ms. Vasquez?
Not that I recall. Oh, excuse me, I do. I don't remember his name. I'm so sorry. I feel like I spoke with Adam. I don't know his last name.
Did you speak to or communicate with Adam Waldman?
Perhaps. I don't recall his last name.
Okay. And do you recall when that occurred?
That would have been 2019 because I had a newborn at that time. So maybe May, June, July, something like that, 2019.
So this is a text exchange between you and Mr. Waldman?
It appears so.
Okay. And do you recall speaking to Mr. Waldman at all?
Yes.
And do you recall that when you were communicating with Mr. Waldman was Mr. Depp's attorney?
Yes.
Ms. Falati, you're a trained nurse, is that correct?
That's correct.
Do you have any specialties?
Well, I haven't been working, like I used to, but previously I was trained in addictions and mental health.
And when you say addictions, are there a specific type of addictions you were trained in?
All, but I primarily worked with chemical dependency.
And where did you receive training for addiction and mental health?
Different employment places, and then I became a certified registered addictions nurse.
You know who Dr. David Kipper is, correct?
Correct.
Did you work for Dr. Kipper?
Not directly, but he would hire the agency I provided nursing services for, which was Turning Point, I believe. So I worked under his guidance, but not specifically for him. Most of the time. There have been times where I've worked specifically for him.
Okay. When did you start working for Turning Point Nursing Services, or whatever the name of that company was?
I don't recall. My best guess would be somewhere between 2007 or 8.
And when did you start to begin to do any work for Dr. Kipper?
I believe 2014.
What were the circumstances that started you working for Dr. Kipper in 2014?
If I recall correctly, it would be for services for Ms. Hurd.
Were you ever responsible for Mr. Depp's nursing care while he was under the treatment of Dr. Kipper?
I provided him with nursing care.
Exhibit 2.
So Ms. Falati, I'm showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 2 to your deposition. And these are AH TPD 16929 through 16959. And is that the paper documents you have, a set of the paper documents you have in front of you?
Part of it.
The first page.
And the first page might have said at the bottom also K182.
Yes, I have that.
Okay. Do you recognize these as your, what are these?
These are my nursing notes kept for Ms. Heard. Yes.
And these are notes you created?
Yes.
Did you create these notes in the ordinary course of business?
Yes.
Okay. Were you trained in how to prepare these notes?
Yes.
Would you write these how long after the visit would you write up these notes?
Would depend. Sometimes I would keep notes on my phone that I would transfer to the Word document when I was in front of my laptop. And if not possible, I would do it as soon as feasible.
And how often would you show these notes to Dr. Kipper?
I don't recall, at intervals, but I don't recall.
So if you look at the first page of the notes, the first entry is August 27th, 2014, correct?
Yes.
And you wrote RN has been hired to provide private nursing care for client Amber Heard, right?
Correct.
Right. And RN refers to you, correct? And an RN means registered nurse, correct?
Correct.
And throughout the notes, and you say this here, Amber Heard would be referred to as client or AH, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And Johnny Depp would be referred to as JD.
That's correct.
Would you agree that Mr. Depp and Amber would get into verbal arguments?
I recall a general sense of discord in the relationship.
And what do you mean by general sense of discord?
I just recall there being disagreements, reconciliation, and kind of that repeating pattern.
And would you be at times taking care of Amber because of the disagreements between Mr. Depp and Amber?
I provided emotional support. I was not present with her often, but was available over the phone, via text, and sometimes in person.
Do you recall that in March 2015, Amber went to Australia to be with Mr. Depp?
Yes, I remember she went to Australia. As to the dates, I would have to look through documentation to ascertain the exact dates.
Okay. And on Exhibit 2, this is your note of March 7th, 2015?
That's correct.
And you wrote, client notifies RN via text of increasing anxiety?
Yes, I wrote that.
And then on 3/8/15, you wrote, RN received report from Debbie RN. Debbie being Debbie Lloyd, correct?
That's correct.
Do you recall what the report you received was on March 8th, 2015 from Debbie?
I mean, I'm just reading my notes.
Sure.
So to answer your question, no, I don't recall specifics of what the report would have been. I assume, based on this note, that would have been a phone call.
Okay. And it says client will be returning to Los Angeles on March 9th, 2015, accompanied by house manager Ben. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Did you have an understanding as to why Amber was leaving Australia in March of 2015?
Yes. I don't know if this is the exact timing, but you know better than I, there was an incident in Australia and they had to be, Ms. Heard and Mr. Depp had to be separated. So Ms. Heard returned to Los Angeles per my nursing notes, and I believe Mr. Depp must have stayed in Australia.
What was your understanding as to why Mr. Depp and Amber had to be separated?
It's hard to recall specifics because I wasn't there or involved at the time, but became involved again. I remember hearing from other people that there was quite an argument between the two in Australia.
Do you have any understanding if anyone was injured during the argument between Amber and Mr. Depp?
Physically injured?
Physically, yeah.
Again, I wasn't present, so I'm only speaking as to what I recall during that time period and what I sort of remember hearing from others. And also, I just remember Mr. Depp's finger was injured. I can't tell you specifically which one, but I remember there was an injury to his finger.
Do you have any understanding as to how his finger was injured?
No.
And then, Erin, you wrote the next note on March 9th, 2015 that says RN and CT in touch via text and phone calls after client arrived at 1500.
Yes, I wrote that.
Okay. And 1500, you're using military time, correct?
That's correct.
So that would be 3 p.m.
Correct.
Okay. And you wrote client expressed feeling, quote, sad, right?
Yes, I wrote that.
So do you recall what Amber was sad about at approximately March 9th, 2015?
I can't speak to the, I don't remember specifically, but I would assume based on my March 8th note, I would make the assumption that those feelings were in relation to the relationship issues.
You wrote client states she would like to discuss recent events between her and husband with RN in private tomorrow. Plans are made for RN to visit client at her home tomorrow.
Yes, I wrote that.
Do you recall the conversation you had with Amber regarding the events between her and Mr. Depp at around this March 9th, 2015 timeframe?
No, I don't recall specifics.
Do you recall anything in general?
I really don't. I'm sorry.
Did Amber express any fear of Mr. Depp at this time?
Don't recall. I don't see that in this note, so I can't speak to that.
And then the note for March 10th, 2015, you see that note?
I do.
You can take this down. we put up attachment 25, please?
Stand by. Exhibit 4.
Ms. Falati, I'm showing you a text chain between you and Whitney Hurd on March 23rd, 2015. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
And on March 23rd, 2015, you texted to Whitney Hurd, Debbie just told me what's going on and to check with you, is Amber awake or fall asleep? Do you see that?
Do.
And then Ms. Hurd wrote she finally fell asleep. You see that?
Yes.
Okay. Then you wrote, thank goodness, she must be
Sorry.
exhausted.
I'm sorry. Just to confirm, this is from Whitney Hurd, not Amber Hurd, correct?
As I understand it, it says Whit Hurd. Is that your understanding?
I assume. Thank you.
And then do you recall ever communicating with Whitney Hurd via text or chat?
That sounds familiar.
Okay. And you wrote, thank goodness, she must be exhausted. You want me to come to the loft, or is she safe and sound asleep? You see that?
I do see that.
Okay. And then Whitney wrote, safe? Question mark? No, she's not. Kept saying she wants to kill herself. You see that?
See that?
Were you ever concerned about Ms. Hurd's safety as it relates to Mr. Depp?
So if she made comments to me that she was not safe, I would be concerned about her to ensure that she was safe. Yes.
Do you recall Ms. Hurd making comments to you about her safety?
I remember a general sense when they, meaning Ms. Hurd and Mr. Depp, would have arguments. She would often have her friends around her for support, but from a general, physical sense, she was always in a safe place.
And you mean in a general physical sense, she was always in a safe place? What do you mean by that?
Meaning she was always, not always, I should say, often home, often surrounded with friends. She had friends that lived right down the hallway from her, so she was always supported.
Was Mr. Depp friends with Marilyn Manson?
Yes, I believe.
Ms. Falati, I'm showing you what's marked as Exhibit 7, and these are texts that Mr. Depp produced between you and him. And I'm focusing on this text message of October 31st, 2015. You see that? Well, so this text message between you and Whitney is on March 23rd, 2015. You see that?
I do.
Okay. And if we go back to Exhibit 2, and I'll go back. Oops. There's no entry for March 23rd, 2015.
Yeah.
You see that? Not everything you did for Ms. Hurd as a nurse is reflected in these notes, correct? And the next notes we have are November 25th, 2015. Do you know why there's a long period where there's no notes?
Yes. Perhaps I can shed some light for you and everyone on the relationship. When I was first hired to care for Ms. Hurd, I worked full time. I was assigned 24/7 basically. And after a period of time, I became more part-time and on call. And I was working with different clients at the time. So I would, I would not be working regularly, but would also be available if an issue arose or a medication change needed or things like that. So I would assume that would account for this gap.
Why did you move from full-time to part-time?
I don't know the exact answer, but I assume that's not my decision to make. That's usually the client and or treating physician.
Okay, so that's the first page of Exhibit 2.
Yes, thank you. So if you can you go down to, it's about the third paragraph, a little bit, yes. Her report from JD, which refers to Mr. Depp, Debbie, RN, and Dr. Kipper. Client AH, which is Ms. Heard, has reportedly been experiencing increased anxiety and agitation recently and has had several outbursts of anger and rage. From what I remember, when I was involved in the case, it was to help assist Ms. Heard with some emotional issues, anxiety issues, in attempts to assist, in layman's term, kind of calming things down a bit.
Do you recall any examples that you knew of anger and rage showed by Amber?
I do recall seeing her very angry. I have to refer to my notes. It was in London, so that would have been 2014. And I believe it was in reference to a violating incident where her phone had been hacked and she was quite upset. I saw her angry at that time, and other times I don't recall.
Were you in London with Amber at the time?
Yes.
And how was Amber showing her anger?
I recall loud, kind of elevated voice, yelling, crying, quite upset.
Do you recall receiving a call from Amber around December 16th, 2015 regarding this argument between Mr. Depp and Amber?
I don't recall a specific phone call.
Would you doubt that a phone call occurred if you wrote it down in your notes?
If I wrote it, I don't doubt that it occurred. I just don't have memory of it.
And now you see the note on December 17th, 2015?
Yes.
And you wrote RN in contact with client to notify her that she'd be able to deliver medications to her home. RN waited at door for several minutes after knocking. Client greeted RN at door looking disheveled. Hair appeared unbrushed. Client appeared weepy and sad. Posture is slouched. Client told RN about argument with husband. RN offered emotional support but reminded client that RN could not stay as was on duty with another client and was only visiting in order to deliver medication. Per client, she had not had contact with husband since altercation. Client had visible bright red blood appearing at center of lower lip. When RN made client aware that she was actively bleeding on her lip, client stated it was from injury sustained in the, and then it's blank. You see that? And then we can keep going down in the argument between her and her husband, and that it continues to bleed actively. You wrote that?
Yes.
And then you also wrote clients also states that her head is bruised and that she lost clumps of hair in altercation. You wrote that?
I assume so. It's in my notes.
Okay. And then you wrote, RN briefly looked at client's scalp but was unable to visualize the hematomas client had described. You wrote that?
Yes, I would agree.
And then you wrote RN encourage client to be seen by physician Dr. Kipper or go to emergency urgent care for thorough assessment. You see that?
I do.
And then you wrote client states she will contact Dr. Kipper tomorrow. Client is supported by friends Rocky and IO who will be staying in client's home with her. You wrote that?
I agree, yes.
Okay. And then on December 18th, 2015, you wrote client states she went to Dr. Kipper's office and was assessed by NP Monroe T as Dr. Kipper was out of the office. You wrote that?
Yes,
And NP stands for nurse practitioner.
that's correct.
And you understand Monroe T stood for Monroe Tinker.
Yes,
You recall if Mr. Depp ever forgot to take any of his medication?
at a specific time or ever?
In any time where you were working with him?
I would say vaguely, yes.
Ms. Falati, I'm showing it's been marked as Exhibit 11 to your deposition, which is Falati 96 through 106. You see that?
Yes,
You recall receiving this text message, right?
I have a vague memory of this.
Do you recall if you spoke to Amber after you received this text message? Or at any time after you received this text message around May 21st, May 22nd, 2016?
Are you saying a phone call or just?
Phone call.
I don't really recall.
It could have happened, you just don't recall one way or the other.
I would agree with that.
And you received this picture from Amber?
That's correct.
What is this picture of?
I was just asking if you could scroll down. Well, could you rewind it just a little?
Ms. Hurd.
And does the picture show redness under Miss Hurd's eyes?
You can answer as a lay person if she has such an opinion. If you have an opinion one way or the other, you can let them know.
I'm not an expert, so, I mean, there's color on her face in different areas. I don't know what's what.
And you received this first picture of Amber at 12:36 a.m., correct?
That's the timestamp there.
And you received another picture at 12:36 a.m.?
It appears so.
And who do you see in that picture?
Also Ms. Hurd.
And you received a third picture of Amber at 12:36 a.m.?
Yes, it appears so.
And is that third picture of Amber?
Yes, that's Ms. Hurd.
And you received the fourth picture of Amber at 12:36 a.m.?
Then yes,
And this fourth, I think just so it's clear, the fourth picture is of Amber, correct?
that's correct.
And you received that at 12:36 a.m.
Yes, that's the timestamp.
And these are pictures of Amber's face, correct?
Yes, that's a picture of her face and neck.
Do you recall do you recall receiving those pictures?
Like I said, I have a vague memory of this, but I don't specifically remember receiving it.
Okay. Do you know if you reported these pictures or what Ms. Hurd reported to you to Dr. Kipper?
I would assume that if any information was presented to me, I would have contacted Dr. Kipper.
And do you know how you would have contacted Dr. Kipper?
No, I depending on the date, time, I would sometimes call, email, text.
Do you recall if you wrote nurse notes for this incident?
I don't recall.
You want us to look at Exhibit 2?
That's the nursing notes?
Yeah. Why don't we do that? So there's notes for May 11th, 2016. You see that?
Yeah.
And then the next notes for May 26th, 2016.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know why you didn't include notes for May 21st, 2016?
I don't know.
And on May 26th, you wrote, client texted RN requesting Ambien as she states she's suffering from insomnia due to stress and anxiety. Client reports, quote, having the hardest week of my life, end quote. You wrote that?
Yes.
And you wrote, client states she cannot deal with the negative media publicity she has received surrounding the divorce she requested from her husband, JD. Dr. Kipper notified Ambien 10 milligrams, QHS PRN 14 ordered. Per Dr. Kipper, client is encouraged to make appointment with Dr. Kipper in office to be assessed. Client did not respond. You wrote that?
Yes.
Ms. Falati, I'm showing you what's been marked as Exhibit 12 to your deposition, which is Falati 114 through 119. You can take a look through them. It appears to be notes of when you were Mr. Depp's nurse, as opposed to Ms. Heard. But feel free to take a look.
That's correct. I think these are my nursing notes in relation to Mr. Depp.
So client now is Mr. Depp, correct?
That's correct, because these nursing notes are in reference to Mr. Depp. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And in the nursing note for April 23rd, 2015, you wrote that Dr. Kipper will introduce Rosalind Phillip to Debbie RN and clients Amber H. and Johnny Depp. Debbie RN will assist in coordinating session appointments between clients and Ms. Phillips. Do you know if Mr. Depp and Amber ever saw Rosalind Phillip?
I don't know.
And at Falati 117, it shows notes for June 7th, 2016, correct?
That is correct.
You wrote, the following medications were approved per Dr. Kipper to be given to the client, and then there's a list of medications. You wrote these notes, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And did you understand that Mr. Depp was taking those medications as of June 7th, 2016?
For this nursing note, it appears that he was taking these medications listed.
And then there's a nursing note for June 26, 2016. You see that?
Yes.
And it says, you wrote, client is going through divorce with wife Amber H. and is dealing with the loss of his mother, passed away 1 month ago. Client was provided with the divorce request from wife AH 3 days after mother passed away. Do you see that?
Yes.
And you wrote that?
Yes.
So was it your understanding that Amber asked for a divorce?
This note says that Mr. Depp was provided with divorce request from Ms. Heard, so it appears she was the one requesting a divorce.
Right, and you wrote, next, client states he was not aware AH wanted divorce and expresses confusion regarding AH's desire to terminate marriage. You wrote that?
Yes.
Is that what Mr. Depp told you?
I would assume if I wrote it in my notes.
Then you wrote, client's divorce has been highly publicized and wife AH has been accused him of several character damaging allegations, including domestic violence. You wrote that, correct?
Correct.
Was this on did you write this based on information Mr. Depp provided you?
I don't know. I would assume that I've had discussions with him regarding this, considering that this is a nursing note for Mr. Depp.
Did Mr. Depp tell you his character had been damaged as of June 2016?
I don't recall. I have to go by what my note says here. So it alludes to that's something that he had discussed.
And you see where you wrote, client states he felt helpless previously, but is now angry at AH and wants to clear his name. Mr. Depp told you that?
Again, I don't recall for sure, but I would go back to my nursing notes because those were written more at the time. So I would assume that he and I discussed that.
Okay, farther down, you wrote, RN assisted client in processing feelings and encouraged client to continue utilizing individual therapy as he responded well to RN's use of therapeutic communication. You see that?
Yes.
And you wrote that, correct?
Yes.
Then you wrote, client is resistant, stating, quote, I don't want anyone like Amber's wife therapist. He has only made things worse, end quote. You see that?
Yes.
And you wrote that?
Yes.
And where it's quotes, I don't want anyone like Amber's therapist. He's only made things worse. That was something that Mr. Depp told you?
Again, as I have it in quotations, I assume he made that statement.
A little farther down, you wrote, throughout RN's visit, client maintains attention and is actively participating in conversation. Client consumed 3 vodka drinks during RN's seven-hour visit. Client did not eat during visit and drank water only with several prompts from RN. RN educated client on possible interactions between prescribed medication and alcohol. Client verbalized understanding but stated, quote, right now I need a little alcohol for all the bad things I'm going through, end quote. You wrote those lines?
Yes.
Say the document speaks best as to how many drinks Mr. Depp had?
Correct.
And that Mr. Depp drank 3 vodka drinks during your visit?
That's what my note says.
Then you said RN provided one-on-one emotional support and encouraged clients to limit and or abstain from alcohol and illicit drugs. You wrote that?
Yes.
Do you recall why you told Mr. Depp to abstain from illicit drugs?
No, but I did, and not just with Mr. Depp, but in my line of nursing, provide education always with any medication clients are on and contraindications.
Do you know if Mr. Depp ever took any illicit drugs during the 2014 to 2016 timeframe?
I don't know. I didn't witness him using any illicit drugs, so I can't speak to that.
Your Honor, at this point, the questioning switches over to questions for by counsel for Mr. Depp. That's all right with us, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, let's go ahead and break for the evening. We will see you in the morning. Just do not discuss the case and do not do any outside research, all right? And we'll have the rest of this tomorrow morning, okay? Thank you. All right, are we ready to continue with the witness on deposition?
Yes, Your Honor. The remaining portion of the deposition video of Erin Felati will include the questioning by counsel for Mr. Depp.
All right, thank you.
Do you have any professional responsibility to report or document suspected physical abuse of one of your patients?
If I witness or find out information of domestic or child abuse, yes.
And so what is that responsibility?
I need to notify superiors of the information I was provided with.
When did you first meet Ms. Heard?
I believe it was the end of, excuse me, hang on one sec. Oh, I have it here. I'm just looking at my nursing notes. It looks like August 27th, 2014.
Okay, so can we please pull up the nursing notes, which I believe are Exhibit 2? Okay, I'd like to, while we have this document up, I'd like to go through this section that's called client history. Do you see what I'm referring to?
Yes.
Was the information in this paragraph self-reported to you by Ms. Heard?
I just have a quick moment to review that and then I can answer that question.
Certainly.
Thank you. So to answer that question, I believe this was information given to me from Ms. Heard. I'm not positive, but I can say that anytime I refer or begin a sentence with client states or client reports, those I can confirm, you know, I received that information from the client. As far as in totality, I would assume most information came from Ms. Heard, but I can't rule out that I didn't get any information from the treating physician in preparation either.
And I think you, would this information have been relayed to you at that first meeting with Ms. Heard?
This information, if it was information I received from Dr. Kipper, I would have had that information probably prior to meeting her. But anytime that I said states and I can confirm that I got that information, I would assume that it was sometime within the first day or two of meeting her, because I usually take a client history when I meet a client.
Go down a couple more sentences. It says, AH reports history of substance abuse, including an addiction to cocaine and liquor. CT client reports abstaining from cocaine for a couple years, but was unable to report exact dates. Do you see that? Do you see that where I'm referring to?
Yes, I see that.
And that's something that you would have written?
Yes.
Okay. And this is also information that you believe Ms. Heard would have reported directly to you?
Again, I don't have specific recollection of this, but I would have to refer to my notes that says the client reports it. So the assumption would be made that she provided me with that information.
So it says, it goes on to say, CT does not smoke cigarettes. She reports consuming 1 to 3 glasses of red wine each day. Do you see that?
Yes.
And again, this is based off of your notes, something that Ms. Heard reported to you, correct?
Again, I don't recall the specifics of that. I would refer again that in that particular sentence you're referring to, I use the verbiage of she reports, meaning Ms. Heard reports. So I would make the assumption that she reported that information to me.
In the time that Ms. Heard was your patient, do you recall seeing her consume wine?
Yes.
Is this self-report of 1 to 3 glasses of red wine each day consistent with your recollection?
I don't recall her drinking red wine every time I saw her, so I can't confirm that each time I saw her, she would drink 1 to 3 glasses. I don't recall her drinking every time I saw her.
Did you ever see Ms. Heard appear intoxicated from drinking alcohol?
I don't recall her being intoxicated.
Okay, so moving on to the next sentence here, it says she reports a familial history of substance abuse. Both mother and father have abused and become dependent on stimulants, methamphetamine, opiates, and alcohol. Did I read that correctly?
Yes,
And the she here, it refers to Ms. Heard?
that's correct.
Okay. So this is also something that Ms. Heard reported to you as far as your notes reflect?
Again, I don't have specific recollection of this. It appears that she did report that, but I don't remember.
So a couple sentences later here, it says, client admits to history of anxiety, eating disorder, attention deficit disorder, bipolar disorder, codependence issues, and occasional insomnia. Do you see that sentence?
Yes,
And based off of this note and specifically the language that says client admits, you believe that this is something that Ms. Heard would have reported to you?
as you stated, because it says client admits, I would make that assumption.
What do you recall Ms. Heard saying about her history of anxiety issues?
I don't recall specifics. As I stated earlier in the morning, I remember a general anxiety with many issues in her life.
What do you recall Ms. Heard telling you about her codependence issues?
I have vague memory of discussing codependence issues within previous relationships. I couldn't give you specifics on that. I just sort of have a vague memory of discussing that.
Do you have any non-specific recollections of Ms. Heard being angry or enraged?
Other than that time that I spoke about in London 2014, I didn't specifically witness anger and rage from Ms. Heard.
The next sentence here says her mood has been labile. Am I pronouncing that correct? So first of all, what does that mean?
Emotional lability is typically when emotions swing on a pendulum. You know, for example, you may see someone very sad at one moment and quickly transition to extreme happiness. It sort of swings from, like I said, it's sort of a pendulum.
And did you ever in the time that you treated Ms. Heard, did you ever personally witness this type of emotional ability?
I don't recall specifically.
Okay. The next sentence says, client expressed concern to husband and Dr. Kipper that she's nervous about being alone while husband is working on movie set in London, and expressed she has difficulty dealing with feelings of insecurity and jealousy when not in the presence of her husband. Did I read that right?
Yes.
Do you recall learning this during your initial meeting with Ms. Heard?
I don't recall learning this during the initial meeting, but again, when I initially met Ms. Heard and Mr. Depp, it was fairly brief because then after that we traveled to London. So I don't recall if I learned of this instantaneously or if that was gathered, throughout the next day or two, spending time with her.
Is this description of Ms. Heard having feelings of insecurity and jealousy when not in the presence of Mr. Depp, is that consistent with your recollection when you were treating Ms. Heard?
I wouldn't say all the time that was an issue. I have a vague sense of those issues popping up throughout the years, but I wouldn't say that that was a constant theme.
But you do have recollections of that being an issue at some time while you were treating her.
I would say that's a fair statement.
Please go to the entry for August 29th, 2014. Okay, so in this note, I'd like to direct your attention to the section that starts with 2345. And specifically the first sentence, it says client RN and Debbie RN went to dinner together. You see that?
I do.
And Debbie RN is Debbie Lloyd, is that correct?
That's correct.
I'm going down a couple sentences here. It says, client verbalizes feelings of confusion as she feels fiance would like her to decrease / eliminate acting career and stay home. Do you see that? Do you remember having this specific conversation with Ms. Heard?
I don't remember specifically, but I do have a general recollection. No, I don't recall specifics.
Did you ever have any discussions with Mr. Depp concerning Ms. Heard's acting career?
I have a sort of vague general memory of discussing that before. As to specific details, I don't think I can provide you with specifics, but it sounds familiar.
Did you ever have the impression that Mr. Depp wanted Ms. Heard to stop her or end her acting career?
I don't recall that being a sentiment.
Let's, if we could scroll down to the entry for September 2nd, 2014. Now, I'd like to direct your attention to a sentence in the middle of this entry. It says, RN and CT discuss CT's history and current relationship. CT reports difficulty with jealousy, issues, and anxiety around fiance's fame and ability to interact with females often. Did I read that correctly? And that's a note that you wrote, correct? Do you recall Ms. Heard expressing the sentiment to you?
Again, like we discussed earlier, I don't recall that specifically. I do have a general sense of jealousy, anxiety issues popping up throughout the years, but I don't remember that specific discussion to give you anything deeper than that.
Let's please move on to the entry for September 4th, 2014. Now, I'd like to direct your attention to, this is also in the middle. It says CT ate dinner with RN at 2100 at restaurant.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay. CT became frustrated with wait staff over miscommunication. CT calmly repeated herself to staff to resolve issue. CT expressed frustration over conflict to RN. RN reflected change in coping mechanisms as CT's previous coping skills involved impulsive anger and yelling. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
Do you recall this incident at all?
I wouldn't have said that I remembered this in preparation for the deposition. When I was rereading through these notes, I have sort of a vague memory of this, but I think my notes here probably are more specific than what I exactly remember.
Let's actually go to the entry for September 21st, 2014. And yes, okay. Please take a moment and review this. And once you're done, the question is does this note reflect that incident in London that you just referred to?
To answer your question, yes, that is what I'm referring to.
It says down here at the bottom of the notes, client's fiance offered emotional support. Is that accurate to your recollection?
I don't recall. I would have to refer to my nursing note, as it's probably a lot more reliable than my current memory.
I believe you testified earlier, though, that you recall that Mr. Depp was present on this occasion. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Now we can move on to the entry for September 22nd. Okay, so this note begins, strike that. This starts with 0100. Is that 1 o'clock in the morning on September 22nd?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And it starts, RN notified that client requires assistance. Upon arrival, client noted to appear irritable, loud, and angry. Client screaming at times and appears agitated. Client's crying and states she got into a verbal argument with fiance after RN departure. Does this refresh your recollection at all about Ms. Heard having an outburst?
I don't know that it refreshes my memory. I would say it reflects my memory.
This is the same outburst in London that you had been previously referring to?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you recall anything about what the fight between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard was about that's reflected in this note?
I don't really recall. I remember a general sense of Ms. Heard being very upset that her phone was hacked because there was very sensitive information that was leaked from it. And I feel like she was having a difficult time calming after that. So what there was any verbal disagreements, I would assume it's in relation to that, but I just don't remember the specifics of what that disagreement was about.
It says here, the client states she feels fiance did not provide support to client. Did I read that right?
Yes.
Okay. Is that consistent with your recollection?
I didn't recall that, but again, I would state that my notes are much more reliable than my current memory, and I think that probably speaks to your previous question.
Let's please go to the entries which from March 7th, 2015, which are on page with the base number 16952. Now, I think we looked at these entries earlier. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, with respect to the entry for March 7th, 2015, it says client notifies RN via text of increasing anxiety. reports emotional lability. Do you recall Ms. Hurd reporting why she was feeling anxious at this time?
No, I don't recall the specific reason of why she is notifying me of that at this time.
So it says here that she notified you via text, right?
Right.
Directing your attention to the next note from March 8th, 2015. And I know you discussed this with Adam earlier, so I won't belabor this too much. But do you recall that at the time of this entry on March 8th, 2015, Ms. Hurd was in Australia?
I would make that assumption based upon my note for March 8th. I state that client will be returning to Los Angeles, accompanied by House Manager Ben. I'm paraphrasing there, but yes, I believe she was coming from Australia for this particular entry.
It says here, RN plans to meet client upon arrival. Do you see that?
Oh, yes, I do.
And I think you testified to this earlier. You did see Ms. Hurd the next day when she arrived back in Los Angeles. Is that correct?
That's correct. If you look at the entry for March 9th, I refer to meeting her and her friends. So yes, I would have met her in person that day.
Do you recall how long you spent with Ms. Hurd that following day?
I don't recall. My note states that I met her for dinner at 2200, which military time would be 10 p.m. I don't recall how long I was with her. So I would assume a couple hours, but again, that I'm just making an assumption.
Do you recall observing any injuries to Ms. Hurd when you saw her on March 9th, 2015?
No, I don't recall. I don't make note of it, but I don't recall either.
If Ms. Hurd had visible injuries, is that something that you would have documented in your nursing notes?
I would assume so.
Do you recall Ms. Hurd seeking any medical treatment from you when you saw her on March 9th, 2015?
I don't recall.
If Ms. Hurd had sought medical treatment from you on that date, is that something you would have documented in your notes?
Perhaps if there were requests for medical treatment that differed from sort of day-to-day status, then yes, I might have put it in my notes if I hadn't discussed with Dr. Kipper, but I don't make any reference to it in this particular note.
Could we please pull up what should be I think I would have uploaded as document B. It bears the base numbers Falati 0134. Is it 14? I think we covered this before, but just to confirm, is this your email up at the top that says erinboerum@hotmail.com? I'm sorry, did you respond?
Yes.
Oh, great. Thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't hear that. Okay. I'd like to direct your attention down to this email from David Kipper on March 9th, 2015. That starts out, Erin, love you too much. Do you recognize this email?
I believe I produced this in reference to the subpoena.
Do you recall receiving this email?
I don't recall, but I do remember reviewing this. I don't think I reviewed it in preparation for today, but probably at the time of the document request. I think I probably reviewed this.
Directing your attention to the middle of the email, do you see where it says, I'm sure JD will let her know we are coming home. I want her to please not see him for a few days until we can get him organized with the hand surgeon and get his meds balanced. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. And JD refers to Mr. Depp in this instance?
Yes.
And the her is Ms. Heard?
Yes.
Did you have an understanding at the time as to why Dr. Kipper didn't want Ms. Heard to see Mr. Depp for a few days?
I don't recall exactly. This might have been in reference to Australia when they, meaning Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, were separated. I would have to check the dates on that.
Turning back to your notes where Ms. Heard was returning from Australia on March 9, 2015, does that orient you?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that would be the same time period.
Okay. And you alluded to an understanding that Dr. Kipper wanted Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard separated.
Yes.
And why did you, what was your understanding as to why they should be separated?
I don't recall specifics. I wasn't present in Australia at that time. I just remember a general sense of a big argument happening and the treatment team deciding that they should not be around each other. So Ms. Heard returned to Los Angeles and Mr. Depp stayed in Australia. For how long, I don't recall.
The next bit here says, please use the excuse that Dr. Kipper insists that JD stay quiet without any distraction for the rest of the week while we get his medications organized and balanced. None of this will be accepted by her, but I will be very upset. You can tell her this if there is any stress created by a visit that's premature. Do you see that?
Yes.
Do you have any understanding as to why Dr. Kipper was directing you to provide this excuse to Ms. Heard?
Yeah, and just the general sense that there was a major argument in Australia, which I wasn't present for, and separating because of that.
Did you have any understanding as to why Dr. Kipper stated that none of this will be accepted by Ms. Heard?
I would be speculating on that, but you know, we used joking terminology.
Based on your experience treating Ms. Heard at this time in March of 2015, would you agree, or did you agree with Dr. Kipper that Ms. Heard would not accept not seeing Mr. Depp for a period of time?
I don't know specifically. As I think we talked about much earlier this morning, there was generally a sense of arguing, reconciling, and that sort of cycle happening frequently throughout their relationship.
If we could please go back to the nursing notes, which are Exhibit 2. Could we please go back to the entries from March 2015 that are on the page with the base number 16952? We covered this earlier, but it says in your March 9th, 2015 entry, it says client states she would like to discuss recent events between her and husband with RN in private tomorrow. Do you see that?
Oh, yes, I do.
Directing your attention to the entry for March 10th, 2015. It says RN met client at home at 1600. Does that refresh your recollection that you did meet with her the next day?
No, it doesn't refresh my recollection. However, I would refer to my nursing note.
Do you have any reason to doubt that these notes are accurate?
No.
Do you recall whether Ms. Heard showed any injuries to you on that at that time?
No, I don't recall any injuries.
Okay. Can we go back to Exhibit 2, which is the nursing notes, and specifically the entry for March 25th, 2015. Just go back up to the top of this entry for March 25th, please. And I just want to ask you about one more part of this. It says, states she is concerned about ability to trust fiance following argument on March 23rd, 2015. Do you have any recollection of Ms. Heard expressing concern about her ability to trust Mr. Depp?
I would say I have a generalized memory of there being, as I stated before, jealousy and anxiety issues, including mistrust within the relationship.
Do you recall Ms. Heard ever telling you that she thought Mr. Depp was cheating on her?
No, I don't recall that specifically. I just, as I've said, have a general sense of remembering jealousy being an issue.
If we could, okay, I think, do you recall talking about visiting Ms. Heard and Mr. Depp for Thanksgiving earlier today?
Yes.
Does anything stand out in your mind as from that Thanksgiving dinner that you can recall?
Nothing really stands out other than it was, I sort of have a general sense of it being a really jovial, fun time together.
Do you recall how long you stayed at the dinner?
Not specifically, I would assume a few hours.
Could we please just quickly go to the note from November? This is in Exhibit 2, and then entry for November 26, 2015, which is on page 16954.
Please stand by. Ms. Falati, directing your attention to the entry for November 26, 2015. You recall seeing this entry earlier today?
Yes.
And I believe you testified that this is the entry from the Thanksgiving dinner that you spent with Ms. Heard and Mr. Depp.
I believe it is.
Do you see in the middle where it says JD appeared calm and coherent?
I do.
Is that accurate to your recollection of that evening?
Again, I don't remember that specifically, but I just remember a general sense of it being a fun, happy evening.
So this is consistent with your recollection of that evening?
I would make that assumption.
And you have no reason to doubt the accuracy of your note, correct? Directing your attention to the December 17th, 2015 entry, will you just take a minute and read this over and confirm whether strike that. Do you recall going and visiting Ms. Heard on December 17th, 2015?
I remember in so much as my nursing notes regarding this night. I can't say that I recall much more than I have here, but I do remember visiting her.
It says here that the client had visible bright red blood appearing at center of lower lip. Do you see that?
Yes.
Did you, other than the blood on Ms. Heard's lip, do you recall seeing any other injuries to her on that date?
I don't recall other than what I state.
Do you recall examining Ms. Heard's lip at all?
I don't think I examined it other than a visual examination. I didn't physically examine her lip.
The note says here, client also stated her head is bruised and that she lost clumps of hair in altercation. RN briefly looked at client's scalp, but was unable to visualize hematomas client had described. Is that what you wrote in your note?
Yes.
If you had observed the bruises or hematomas that Ms. Heard had described, would that have been reflected in your note?
Would assume, but again, I'm not trained in looking for those types of injuries, which is why my note continues that I encourage her to be seen by a professional that is trained to do so.
Can we drop down to the next page? And this is just the end portion of this note. It says here, RN reminds client to hydrate with oral fluids and to limit abstain from alcohol. Client was consuming red wine when with RN left, but assured RN she would consume in moderation. Is that what you wrote in your note?
It is, and I believe I miswrote there. Probably it should say client was consuming red wine when RN left, not with, just to clarify.
Why would you advise Ms. Heard on this occasion to limit, or why did you advise Ms. Heard to limit or abstain from alcohol on this occasion?
I don't recall why I would be speaking to limit or abstain from alcohol on this occasion.
To confirm, based on your nursing notes, you were aware that Ms. Heard claimed to have been injured by Mr. Depp in December of 2015, right?
Correct.
And you went and actually saw her shortly after that alleged incident, correct?
Not that same day, but possibly the following day, I believe.
And And you, on that occasion, you observed that she had a bloody lip, correct?
Correct.
And she told you that that was a result of the altercation with Mr. Depp, right?
Right.
If she had had any other injuries on that occasion, would you have recorded them in your nursing notes?
Make that assumption based upon my other notes that reference the blood on her lip.
Could we go back to Exhibit 2 in the nursing notes for April 21st, 2016? Which was this number? Which is on case number 16957. Where it says, RN socialized with JD for 45 minutes. JD appeared coherent, oriented, and sociable. Thought process logical and clear. Do you have any reason to doubt that that's accurate? That's an accurate description of Mr. Depp on that date?
Jessica, I apologize. Can you just use your cursor to help me see the note that you were just reading?
Sorry, I actually don't have control of it, but it's down towards the middle. It says RN socialized with JD at times 45 minutes. JD appeared coherent, oriented, and sociable.
Oh, yes, I see it. Thank you.
Thought process logical and clear. Yes. Okay.
So I'm sorry, what was your question regarding that?
Do you have any reason to doubt that that's an accurate description of how Mr. Depp appeared to you on April 21st, 2016?
I have no reason to doubt it. I would stand by my notes.
You knew that Mr. Depp was being treated for substance abuse issues by Dr. Kipper and Nurse Deputy Lloyd, correct?
Yes.
If Mr. Depp had appeared intoxicated on this occasion, is that something that you would have documented?
If it had been outwardly visible for either client, I would have made reference to that.
If we could go back to the nursing notes, Exhibit 2, please. And if we could go down to the entry for May 11. Ms. Falati, we looked at this. You looked at this entry earlier today, correct?
Correct.
Directing your attention to just a couple lines down, it says, client discussed her birthday trip to Coachella Music Festival. Trip was April 22nd, 2016 through April 24th, 2016. Client admits to illicit drug use during the trip and states she ingested mushrooms and MDMA simultaneously while also consuming alcohol, and states she vomited and was, quote, high for at least 24 hours straight, end quote. Do you see that?
Yes, I do see that.
Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Do you recall, well, first of all, do you recall Ms. Heard relaying this to you?
I don't recall these specifics that I state here in the note, but I remember sort of a conversation talking about the trip after they had returned.
And this starts out, client admits to illicit drug use. So am I correct that this is, based on these notes, this is something Ms. Heard reported to you directly?
Again, I don't remember these specifics. However, my usage of client admits refers to the client reporting something to me.
Had Ms. Heard ever admitted to illicit drug use to you before this time?
I believe in reference to my nursing notes from when I first met her, he alluded to previous substance use.
It says here, RN reminded client that illicit drug use will not be tolerated by medical staff and that any medications or drugs that are not prescribed can interfere and cause adverse effects with her prescribed medication. Client laughed and also reported using illicit drugs, mushrooms and MDMA on May 9th, 2016 at home with a high-profile male acquaintance. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Do you recall Ms. Heard laughing in response to your reminder about illicit drug use?
No, I don't recall that.
In your time caring for Ms. Heard, did you ever see Mr. Depp physically abuse her? Did you ever see Ms. Heard physically abuse Mr. Depp? Did you ever see Ms. Heard throw anything at Mr. Depp in the time that you cared for her?
No, I did not witness that.
In the time that you treated her, did you ever see Ms. Heard lose her temper?
As we talked about previously, the one incident that I can remember is in London, 2014. Yes, 2014. In regards to her phone being hacked and sensitive material being leaked.
Did you ever feel that Ms. Heard was hostile towards you at any time during your treatment of her?
No.
Did you ever feel like she was ignoring attempts by you to contact her?
Yes, I have a general memory of of that happening on more than one occasion where I would reach out and not get a response. I remember feeling frustrated by that.
When had you treated domestic violence victims prior to this time?
The time that I worked with them was in nursing school. I don't want to say the specific place for confidentiality reasons, but it was for domestic violence victims. Sort of a safe house.
Ms. Falati, do you remember when you were treating Ms. Heard that at some point she had a cyst on her eyelid?
Yes, that sounds familiar.
Okay. And do you remember that you had a procedure to have that cyst removed?
Yes.
And was that a surgical procedure to your recollection?
From what I recall, that was handled at an outpatient surgical center. Other than that, I don't know the details of that specific process.
Do you recall whether Ms. Heard had any marks around her eye after having that procedure?
I don't recall. I remember a topical ointment being applied, but I don't recall if there were marks on her eye or not.
At this point, the questioning switches back to counsel for Ms. Heard.
All right, thank you.
Do you say
Yeah.
Falati 93?
Yes.
Okay. And this is another picture of Amber from May 21st, 2016.
Correct. This is a picture of Ms. Heard.
And Amber sent you this text on May 21st, 2016.
I believe so based on the timestamp.
And the same for this picture on the next page. Amber sent you this picture of her.
Correct.
And the same for this page, the next page. Amber sent you this picture of her on May 21st.
Yes.
When you saw Amber on December 17th, 2015, and you spoke about that, how long were you with her? Do you recall?
Don't recall. I would assume based on the fact that I stopped by briefly, maybe an hour or two.
Okay. Did you go inside her house, or were you outside the door?
From what I recall, I was inside
Okay.
the penthouse, yes.
By the way, when you saw Amber on December 17th, was she wearing makeup or not? Do you recall?
I don't recall. Yeah, I don't recall.
All right, thank you.